Welcome to YouTube channel Knowledge Base, connecting world with innovative experts. This is Suresh Venkat. Today topic of discussion is on cybersecurity. Today we have Mr. Raj Babu Gunasilan, cybersecurity expert as our guest of honor. Mr. Raj Babu Gunasilan has done his MS from Singapore. He comes with 23 years of experience. Currently, he works as a head of product management in Cybervault Innovations and Technologies Private Limited, Singapore. Rajbabu Gunasilan has recently launched a guide to cybersecurity. It's an absolute beginner's handbook, and he's going to talk more on the book written by him, a guide to cybersecurity handbook. Go ahead, Rajbabu.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you for your introduction and this opportunity. I'm really glad and excited to meet your platform users. I understand that your platform has more than 25,000 users, and I'm really glad that you have given us this opportunity to talk about our book. The journey of Cybervault dates back to 8 years, and ever since we have started, so we were always a security conscious company. But as we progressed through the years, we have understood that cybersecurity is one core area that is not only relevant to the industries but also to the general public. And recently, 2 weeks back, I read about an article where in Kunnur there was a IT professional who got digitally arrested, and then she was made to stay at home for almost 8 days without allowed to go out, and then even to contact any of her relatives or office colleagues. And then she was said that she has received a courier parcel that has had some non-permissible drugs, and she has been arrested in relation to that by the customs office. Upon further investigation later, after a week, it was found that it was a scam, and then the scammers have actually very intellectually made her believe that this was a kind of a spoofing attack, and then they made her pay up to 16 lakhs of rupees. Imagine if this is the situation for a qualified IT professionals. Let's forget about how the normal public with or without basic cybersecurity knowledge could be impacted. The world has actually, like the estimate says that the global economy loss because of cybersecurity crimes in 2023 is about $6.5 trillion actually. In 2025, it is expected to go up to $10.5 trillion. So that is the kind of global impact that these cyber crimes are going to create. Having said that, we as a cybersecurity company realized that we have to do something that will not only help the people without basic cybersecurity knowledge, but we found audiences in terms of in the IT sectors also. Our book basically helps developers, network engineers, and also the people in the CISO community to have some greater understanding about the cybersecurity threats and how they can actually learn more about protecting their day-to-day works and networks from such threats. So the general audience for this book is basically the software developers who can actually be, after reading this book, they will be able to learn some basics of how to protect their GitHub source code from vulnerabilities, how can better equip with library security libraries so that their source code can be protected from vulnerabilities. They can run such security scans. So we teach them the basics of that. And not only that, we also help the network engineers how they can do some basic scannings of their networks to continuously monitor for such any DDoS. DDoS stands for distributed denial of service. That is an unqualified and unwarranted continuous attack by a hacker on a specific system is called as distributed denial of service, which can eventually bring the system down. So our book is targeted not only for the general public, it also helps the developers, and the network engineer community, and also a broader enterprise audience as a whole to understand the various aspects of cybersecurity and how they can up their game plan and protect their infrastructure, systems, software, applications, emails from day-to-day threats. So that is the objective of our book. So we have just released the basic beginner's guide last month. So we also have plans to release the intermediate guide and then also the advanced guide. We also have plans to set up a proprietary cyber laboratory, which will have not only software-based cybersecurity infrastructure framework, but also having routers, switches, and firewalls, which will allow people to learn how they can protect their systems at various levels of the applications. So these are some of the exciting plans we have for 2025, and we hope to give more insights about our new books and new initiatives in the coming days.
Can you name few topics which you feel that professionals overlook or not aware of it?
Some of the areas are basically the vulnerability testing, actually. So most of the developers, I would say, probably in the startup space, they are not conscious or aware of the specific security libraries I just now mentioned, meaning like how to protect their GitHub in terms of securing their source code so that hackers don't directly get access to their source code and then inject static bugs or malwares into the system. So because these kind of stringent security regulations are only required in the insurance financial segments where there is a compliance requirement by the different risk department within the company and outside the company to adhere to these regulations before software codes are promoted to production. But in other non-fintech segments, there may not be such regulations in place. So the developers or the IT teams may overlook these process so that subconsciously or indeliberately they are injecting or making their system vulnerable to such attacks. Yeah, which may or may not happen, provided the hackers are not aware of.
What are the common misconceptions that people has about cyber security?
I would say that the ignorance is one thing, actually. I would also say there is some lethargic attitude from the people who even who are actually have some basic understanding of the cyber security. For example, I read about an instance a couple of days back in where there is in the hotel Wi-Fi network, the crew Wi-Fi network. The IT team did not change the default admin passwords, actually. So these kind of things, right? People are able to make an intellectual guess and access to the host network itself, which means that they are able to completely monitor the entire traffic of the whole hotel. Imagine there are 500 rooms in that hotel and there are 500 guests. They're able to actually sneak into all the data, passwords, and credit card details that are sent up and down the network by the guest within the hotel network. They may think the network is secure, but it is not secure. Once the guy has hacked into that network, he has complete access to information and he can cause a massive damage to the guest and the hotel reputation. So I feel that other than basic ignorance, lethargic behavior of the people is also one of the reasons causing massive financial losses to the companies or the industries as a whole.
See, initially you spoke about digital arrest. Can we say it's more due to people's lack of awareness or foolishness, even? This type of digital arrest is happening. See,
I would say, yeah, go ahead.
see,
Go ahead.
is more is nothing to do with cyber security. I would more say it's people foolishness and what should I say, ignorance. See, for example, today a random person cannot call you and say that something has happened in the parcel sent by you or sent to you. So we are liable to be prosecuted. See, this cannot happen, right? This is more to do with what should I say, common sense also.
Yeah, I agree. But I think under certain situations, right, I think people tend to forget even the basics, actually. So one important point, right, as I said, right, the technology is not only becoming more intelligent, actually. The scammers are also becoming more intelligent and very closer to reality, I would say, meaning that the call would be very, very close and I mean, out of any doubt, a speck of doubt, actually, which will make you believe that it is real. And then they will tend to overlook the basic details. Say, for example, if someone is calling you, imitating as a boss and asking for 10,000 rupees to be transferred. So the basic things, as you mentioned, is that like you have to call your boss and ask you, did you really ask me for money? Or something like that. Even it happened to our HR, right? My Twitter account, Instagram account got hacked once, and then somebody replicated duped my ID, and then texted my HR asking for 25,000 rupees actually. It felt suspicious to her because I don't ask them to transfer money to me actually. So they felt it as suspicious, and then they blocked me. They blocked that user, and then they reached out to me asking like, Raj, did you actually ask me for money because I felt that message to be suspicious, and I really blocked that user. In fact, then we found out and we reported to Facebook that this account has been hacked. But under circumstances, right, people tend to be very realistic, closer to reality. They tend to quote incidences that the people tend to overlook such basics, and then they fall victims. I wouldn't say everybody falls victims. Maybe out of 1,000 cases, one or two start falling as victims because the stress caused by them or the kind of anxiety caused by this kind of a situation, right, makes them helpless, or they tend to overlook these things. So that's why this kind of cybersecurity briefing by police are happening, like what they should do when in such situations that if they are being a victim of such scenarios, right? What they should do. So it is a collective responsibility of the police department, state governments, and people like us who are socially responsible to continuously educate the public and the general audience with such scenarios so that they are well aware of such scenarios, and then they tend to be more cautious and then more vigilant in future, so that even if it is a genuine case, they double check, triple check before they actually transact any. Whenever there is money involved, they should be more careful, because right, that's where they should see it is very fishy, and then they have to be very vigilant actually. So I would say it may not be many cases people are following, trying to be more careful, but under circumstances they tend to overlook the basics and fall as victims.
What foundational knowledge should someone have before getting into cybersecurity?
But they should understand that the different routes through which the scammer will attack them. Actually, so some of the different channels through which the scammers will come through is through email, so SMS, or phone calls, or even through our social media contents. Actually, so I would suggest that whenever they are receiving emails or SMS or WhatsApp messages from an unknown person, try to be more cautious and skeptical. So if it is a number asking for funds or from an overseas number, immediately report it and block it. And if you are getting an email from a random email address, check the from address in the email, whether it is from a genuine sender or it is from a spam email. When you receive such spam emails, you are immediately support to report it as a phishing or a junk email, and then immediately report it. So that's when like systems like Gmail will automatically block such emails from coming to you again whenever there is such or similar emails coming to you in future. In mobile phones, you can install softwares like a Truecaller, which has a database of all the spam callers in their system. So whenever there is a new number coming to you, it will report to as a spam caller, or it is a potential phishing call. It will report to you. So these are the different mechanisms in which you can actually protect yourself. So you can actually double check the recipients, double check your email addresses when you are receiving some suspicious emails, install softwares like Truecallers, and if you are continuously receiving calls from unknown numbers, don't attend it and then completely block it. So these are the some different ways in which you can protect yourselves and then probably keep yourself safe from such phishing scams.
Any specific incident that inspired you to write this book?
Um, it is a continuous process actually. So we work with a lot of industry partners, but when we started approaching the regional market for our cybersecurity solutions, we found that the ground reality is very different as compared to Singapore or other countries. The very fundamental knowledge about cybersecurity is lacking. Although people say scams, threats, they really do not know the magnitude of the loss they can face. Unless you're attacked, you're okay. But so you can never quantify this is the loss you can incur. So once it is attacked, the quantum of effect can be very high actually. So we found that when we started interacting with the small IT, mid-size IT companies or with educational institutions, we found that also they have some basic knowledge. The practical exposure or the kind of knowledge was lacking in them. So that's when we decided we will provide them such cybersecurity programs in educating them with the fundamentals of cybersecurity. So not only with the theoretical inputs, but also with practical access to softwares in the cybersecurity space, how they can get updated and then get equipped with such software so that they can become so trained people in these areas can become ethical certified ethical hackers or CISO consultants or certified information system managers or certified information system officers. So these are the different cyber security areas where people can get job opportunities also. And looking at the bigger picture, we also thought that we also need to create these kind of job opportunities for the upcoming professional because everybody is talking about full stack developers, backend developers, merge developers, etc. And but in future, a lot will be depending upon such cyber security experts and then like artificial intelligence professionals, data scientists, because the future, the amount of data that we'll be handling in future is going to be humongously huge, and the amount of financial exposure that is going to be caused because of this massive data and the exposure of these data is going to be huge. So cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and then big data all have a vital role to play. And then it is important that there are enough professionals in the market to handle that this kind of cybersecurity opportunities also. So in that vision and endeavor, we decided to pursue that we will also launch such cybersecurity programs which will enable people to choose this as a career options also. Once they read our books and then do our cybersecurity programs, it can give them a clear visibility to choose a career path that can give them great opportunities in future. So that is some of the primary mission and the visionary goals that we had when we set up this the cybersecurity programs for the audience.
If a reader needs to take away 3 lessons from your book, what it would be?
So basically, once the reader finishes reading about the book, he will be able to understand the top cybersecurity vulnerabilities in the open web application security standards. So he will be able to understand like what are the top 10 potential vulnerabilities, and then how he can prevent those. If he is a developer, he will know how to prevent those vulnerabilities in his application that he's developing. If he is a network engineer, he will be able to know like how he can protect the network in terms of managing using tools like Nmap or other data monitoring tools. And then if he's a infrastructure architect, he will know how to securely design his infrastructure so that it is bulletproof against the potential hackers. So this book probably helps the developer community, network engineer community, and the IT network community as a whole in terms of learning the advanced concept in securing their digital assets and then building a better infrastructure for their organizations.
So, as you are based in Singapore, how you see the awareness level in cybersecurity between among people in Singapore and in India?
I would say it is. That's why I mentioned in the beginning. It is the ground reality. It is very is vividly visible actually. In Singapore, the government always tries to educate the public and then try to create awareness through television programs and then like the Singapore police or the immigration department constantly promote some programs on the national televisions to make the public vigilant about the day-to-day threats. And then there are the banners, posters in the MRT stations and at the bus stops to stay vigilant about such potential threats. But I believe in India, I think that kind of government-led initiations for the general public to be aware or through the national media channels or through the national communication channels is not very widely prevalent. So those are the areas that should be properly mediated through private and government channels, satellite channels, so that it becomes a continuous vigilant mechanism for the general public to be aware on a day-to-day basis. If there is a recent cyber threat or issue, it should be made known to the public so that they will be remain cautious. And then there should be continuous education or the workshop kind of thing that they should do for the age-old segments who can be easy target or prey for the cyber crimes actually. So all the senior citizens or the millennials people are usually the ones who fall prey to these kind of scams because the senior citizens are usually alone or without much help so that they can easily fall a victim, or millennials are the ones who are not having much knowledge or exposure to these kind of threats that they fall victim. So that these are the two different people segment who fall as easily prey to these kind of threats, whom the hackers constantly target and prey upon. So that so the government or the police department should proactively initiate such workshops or initiatives to educate these public segments. They should probably look at those cyber crimes, what are the age groups that are impacted, and then make these as part of the school curriculum also or the college curriculum so that they also learn these kind of mechanisms and then they stay vigilant all the time.
So, you are tied up with various engineering colleges to train on cyber security. Can you elaborate on the course content and the training programs?
I may not be give more details into the program because some of the details are proprietary, so that we will not be able to disclose more details. But as I said, we are in talks with a few universities where we are planning to set up state-of-the-art cyber laboratories, which are not only at the application level but are also at the network level, which gives them the deeper knowledge of how to operate a router or a switch or a firewall, how to securely configure a firewall so that such DDoS attacks can be configured and prevented at a firewall level also. Because applications are residing behind the firewall, and the firewalls are the first line of defense. So it is not only important that your applications are secure, but your entry-level defenses like firewalls also need to be protected and well secured. So no matter how your application is safe, if your front door is left open, anybody can come and cause a massive damage. So it is not only important that you build a secure application, but protecting your network is also more important. So that is why we say cybersecurity is not only about applications, it is also about protecting your infrastructure. So it's like you're actually locking your rooms, but leaving the main door open. So even if your inside things are protected, so if the main door is open, the hacker can come in, break into the rooms, and then take away all those things. So it is important to also protect the main door with a secure, safe technology with the digital locks, all those things. So that's what we are aspiring to provide to the institutions, because that's where the professionals, because these days, other than the basic engineering courses, there are also now engineering programs on cybersecurity, specialists on cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and data sciences. So, but when we go to the institutions and talk to the students, we find that they are very theory oriented without with not much of a practical knowledge. So that's where we come in with all these knowledges, and then give them with our industry exposure. We help them to train how these infrastructures can be designed, or how our programs can be designed with vulnerability, the security measures in place. So all those things we train them. So even when we to provide internship to the students, we actually have some project modules where they are actually supposed to run vulnerability scan on the projects that they build. They are supposed to fix those vulnerabilities, and then that's when we accept their project and sign off on their project. So these are the different initiatives, or the steps we take to ensure that how that we can build the future developer communities who are not only security aware, but also security conscious, and then they build such applications from the bottom up. So that is our motive, and this is what we're preaching to institutions also. And recently we signed MOU with a few colleges. And then right now we are also planning to sign with many more engineering colleges in Coimbatore.
Yeah, one final question. How would you recommend someone balance privacy with security in their personal digital life?
Yeah, that is a very good question, actually. So I would say that there should be a balance between trying to be savvy, and then trying to be more non-savvy also. Try to avoid actually uh, talking about your, say, for example, if you are in the open, try to avoid talking about details about your about more about things that are not relevant, or about your financial things, or about your other non personal things, or deeper financial aspects of your life, or avoid sharing credit card details or images through WhatsApp, or sending critical documents through WhatsApp. Avoid sending such documents. Although you see it is the phone, it is readily exploitable. So whenever you are in the general public, try to avoid talking in public about very sensitive informations, and also try avoiding sending critical documents, or your other passport documents, or your credit card details, or the images of your other sensitive data through WhatsApp, and through even to known people, or and for, especially for unknown people, don't such share informations. If it is extremely important, send through email, and then send it as a zipped file with password protection, so that it only goes to the hands of the person who is authorized to receive such a document. So even if the unauthorized or user is receiving such a sensitive information, you will not be able to open that file without knowing the password of the file. And always send the password of the file in a separate email. Do not put that password in the same email. To send it as a separate email or to a separate mechanism, so that so if you are sending the password through another WhatsApp mechanism or through phone call, so that person will not be able to, the hacker will not be able to intercept that information and then access that data. So and also, like, try avoiding leaving these photocopies in general public, because like these days there are a lot of people like who are trying to capture these QR code or passport Xerox copies, and then from that they are able to reverse engineer and gather more information about you, and then they can probably know more about you, and then they will personalize their attacks towards you. Once they know more about you, then they can re-engineer and personalize their attacks with these information to make you believe, and then they can actually like kind of make you a scam victim. So stay vigilant when you're going out. Don't leave informations that are not required. So these days, Google Pays all has come, but that is also a kind of a thing that you can also kind of fall as a victim when you're Google paying some people getting access to your device that they can misuse it. So try to stay vigilant, and then like don't share information, don't share sensitive data through WhatsApp. So these are and as I said, install Truecallers in your mobile device, and then don't take unwanted calls, block them as you see to be suspicious. Always report such spam emails as phishing or junk emails, so that such kind of emails do not land in your inbox again. So these are some of the steps general public and everyone should practice on a day-to-day basis, every day, day in, day out. So you stay vigilant and then to be on for a cyber safe tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Raj Babu Gunasilan. Thanks a lot for joining and sharing your expertise. Definitely, I'm sure viewers would have benefited from your talk. Thanks a lot once again, Raj Babu.
I thank you, Suresh, for the opportunity, and I wish you a very happy Saturday and a weekend. Thank you, audience, once again for patiently listening to me. Thank you.